Father, thank you so much for the chance to be together. Thank you so much for the chance to cook, the chance to study, the chance to sing, the chance to praise, the chance to love together. And we just want to pray that you would make us all one and that you would teach us and that you'd bless our spirit with your presence so that we can now go out into this world and be a blessing and that they'll find you too. This is our prayer in the name of Jesus. Amen. Amen. All righty. Well, we are going to make some banana muffins. Now, two things that are going to make these muffins really cool. One of them is that they're going to be vegan. So that means no meat, no dairy, no animal products. But we're also going to make it gluten-free, which is a really big blessing because one, it's really hard sometimes to find gluten-free baked goods, and especially if they taste good and if they're affordable. And so that's why hopefully you all will really feel empowered with this recipe. And Jael's going to do most of the cooking. I'm just going to be doing some of the guiding. Now, I do see we have all of our ingredients out. There is one thing that we're missing. Can you go grab us the almond milk, Jai? We're going to use the almond milk because the almond milk helps give a little, not really so much for a depth of flavor, but more so for texture, the moisture, because the oil that we're going to add to this muffin mix is optional. You could use oil or not use oil. So we'll talk about that when we get to the oil part. Cool. Thank you so much. All right. So one of the things that we do when we're cooking vegan to make things work, we try to keep separate our wet ingredients from our dry ingredients. Okay. So you tell me, which one do you want to make first? You want to make the wet ones or the dry ones first?
Wet ones.
Okay. You want to make the wet ones? Okay. I was hoping you're going to say dry, but that'll work too. So how are we making our wet ingredients?
Oh,
No, it's cool.
dry ones.
No, it's fine because it's just that when you have stuff wet, it'll just be sitting here for a second. So that's fine. We'll start with the wet. I gave you the choice and you got wet. So let's do it. When it comes to making these banana muffins, these are going to be really cool to make because they don't require a lot of ingredients and it's not really hard. Put all the wet stuff together, the dry stuff together and mix it and you're good to go. So we're going to start with our wet. Now, obviously you cannot have banana muffins without what?
Bananas.
All right, so we got our bananas. You want to get a hold of 3 ripe bananas. If you can get them riper than this, it'll be better. The reason why you use the ripe bananas is because when they're ripe, that just means they're at their highest sweet point. All the sugars have been able to get saturated into the fruit, and that's when it's at its sweetest point. So it's going to be softer as well. Now, another thing too, the thing that's cool about bananas, all of these spots, look at these spots like a bonus. You know how when you have a donut and then you have a donut that has icing on it? Look at like icing on top because bananas, when they're brown like this and when they're spotted, all of the positive factors that help it become something that's anti-cancer, antioxidant, it's actually boosted the riper the fruit gets. Now, I know some folks, a lot of times they say, well, if I'm a diabetic, they tell me don't eat these apples when they're this sweet, eat them when they're green, because yes, they're less sugar. But if that's not a concern, this is how you want to eat your bananas. You want them to get as brown as possible, and especially if you're baking them, even better if they're black. All right, but we got these. They're pretty ripe. So, Jael, you are going to take one, and I'll take another. And we're going to take 3 bananas, and we're going to put them into our blender. Any blender that you use is fine. Doesn't have to be super high powered, just enough to bring everything together. So we got 1 banana, and you're going to skin that completely. All right, good job. I think I forgot something. Let me grab something so we can put all these peels into. If you're composting or a composter family, that's pretty cool. You can go ahead and add this to your compost pile. They break down really nicely. If not, you can put them in the trash. All right, so you got 1. I got 1. So how many have we done so far?
2.
We need how many? We need 3. So we just need 1 more banana. All right, so Jael's going to pop that open. There you go. Good job. Okay, you're going to peel that completely. We don't want any peel in the muffins. That would be a fail. All right, so there you go. Just pull it all the way off. There you go. All right, now while Jael is working on the bananas, we're going to go ahead and add our milk. You want to use any kind of nut-based milk. Soy milk's okay. Anything's better than regular milk. If you choose to use regular milk, animal milk, that works fine too, but we're going to go with almond milk. This is a unsweetened vanilla flavor. Okay, so we need just a 1/2 cup of this. So let me grab our 1/2 cup portion. All right. I'm gonna let you hold and I will pour. All right, so we're adding for our wet, bring it up here so we're right over our container, 1/2 cup of almond milk or any other nut milk that you choose. Okay, good job. So we've got our milk and we've got our bananas. Now, here's where we add the sweet. Because these banana muffins, we're trying to use natural sweeteners, but I am going to add a little bonus or bumper sweetener if you choose in the recipe. What we have here are dates, okay? And dates are just basically super big raisins, right? And they've been used ever since biblical times. Jesus ate dates, the disciples ate dates. They're an ancient fruit, but they're also incredibly sweet, but they don't have a lot of the negatives that you'll find in your regular white sugars or table sugars. So to sweeten this particular muffin mix, we are going to add some sweetener. But if you wanted to try and be low sugar, say you're trying to make it a pro-diabetic muffin, or you just, like us, you're just trying to avoid and minimize your sugars, this is an alternative, okay? So we're going to add 3 large dates. So I'm going to give those to you. You're going to drop those in the blender. So we've got 3 large dates. If you want to add a 4th one, hey, it's the Sabbath, right? Let's go ahead and just bonus it. All right. 4 dates for these Sabbath muffins. Okay. So now we've got 4 dates, 3 to 4 dates. We've got 1/2 cup of milk and how many bananas? You remember how many bananas?
3.
3. Good job. 3 ripe bananas. Now we're almost done because at this point, as you're going to see listed below in the recipe instruction, you could stop here with the wet and you're good to go. But if you want a little more moisture to your muffin and you don't mind adding some oil, we're going to add some oil. You do not have to add oil. Let me repeat that because these muffins are designed to be low sugar, low fat, but high taste. All right, very healthful. But if you want to add oil, you can. But we're only going to add a 1/4 of a cup, and probably not even a full 1/4 cup, but just enough oil. We'll use this 1/2 cup. Let you hold just to give it a little moisture, and it makes the muffins a little softer. If you don't want them soft and you don't mind them being this, don't put on top of that. There you go, all the way around that. Good job. You don't have to add the oil, but if you want them to be a little bit moist, just a hint of oil. This is about a 1/4 a cup. Will make things work. Can you put that in the sink for me, please? Thank you. All right. That's one way to do it. Now we're going to put the top, all right? We're going to put the top onto our wet. And for this particular blender, we put the motor on here. And I'm going to let you do the honors, John. You're going to hear the blender chewing up those dates. That's good. You don't want whole dates in your muffins. You're going to just see them in little pieces. Okay, let's do it. It's okay if you've got chunks of dates. You just don't want whole dates in the muffins. So just give it a little bit more of a blend. All right, good job. Okay, so now we've got this blended. You want this to be a nice, almost like you would see like a melted milkshake, okay? That's going to be our wet. Now let's get the dry for our muffins, okay? Now when it comes to the dry, it's pretty simple. We're talking about flour, flaxseed, a little seasoning, and we're done, all right? So now we're going to add that's right. And this is oat flour. We've got a video. I'll put the link on there down below for those of you who may not have seen that video where you make and where we made our own oat flour. This is simply oatmeal ground up in the blender, and it uses a 1-to-1 ratio when you're making wheat or using any other type of grain. But the cool thing about this is that it's gluten-free or gluten light. And so that's why we use, when we're baking, we use oat flour. And we're going to add 2 3/4 cups. So I'm going to scoop this dry out and let you add it. That's 1. Okay, just dump it right out. You don't have to pour it, just dump it on out. All right, now this is cup number 2. Okay, so now we're down to 3/4. So this is 1/4. And this is 2/4, also known as a 1/2 cup. And now we just need one more for 3/4. All right. Good job. Good job. All right. So now we're down to 2 3/4 cups of the oat flour. That's what's making it gluten-free, but you're going to see it lift and rise and act just like the regular wheat because we're going to put baking powder in. Let's put our flax seed in. These are not whole flax seeds. These are ground flax seeds. Okay. So we got ground flax seeds, and you want to put those, and you just need 1/4 cup of those. This is what's going to add not just that beautiful fiber, that healthy fiber, but also you're going to get your omegas, your fatty acids, which are in these flax seeds that you will find like in cod liver oil or any other meat-based source. This is where you're getting omega fatty acids, which your brain needs. Very good for you.
It smells like carrot.
It smells like carrot, right? Kind of has like that earthy smell, right? But this is the good stuff that's adding that oil element. If you chose not to put in the olive oil or coconut oil, you would still have that. But we just went ahead and added it just to make sure it had that right softness for us, okay? I'm going to grab a whisker, and I'm not talking about a cat whisker. I'm talking about a whisk. And I'm going to ask you if you would, Jai, just move this around for us, and let's get everybody acquainted in there. So far, what do we got? We got oat flour. We have what else? Flaxseed. And now we're going to add these last elements. A little salt. All right, we're going to add a little salt. And we're just going to add about 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt. Okay. Okay, good job. Now you can stop mixing because with the salt, because we're using pink Himalayan salt, you want to put that in? You're not only just getting that salty flavor that you would find in table salt, but it has the minerals that are good and that make this the salt of choice as opposed to eating that white iodized salt that pretty much has been stripped of everything, all the vitamins and minerals. It just tastes like salt. So you'll be okay adding this, even though we want this to be a healthy banana muffin. So we got our salt in, and now we're going to add in our cinnamon. Do you have to put cinnamon in?
No.
No, but this is going to give it another profile that really, not only will it like, it's going to smell incredible, but it really adds to the flavor to play off of the sweetness of the dates. So we'll put in 3 teaspoons. If you want to go with 2, that's okay. But we're going to put in 3 teaspoons of our cinnamon. This is just ground cinnamon. That's 2. Honestly, too, when you put the cinnamon in it, it's going to make the whole, it's going to smell amazing. So it just smells good, too. And that's half of the battle right there. All right, good job. Okay, so we got our cinnamon in. Go ahead and gently whisk that, gently whisk that. Now, what is it that's going to make it rise? What's going to make it talk? It's going to be, that's right, the baking powder. And so what we've done with our baking powder, remember, we have another video. We'll show you how to make your own baking powder. All baking powder is essentially is baking soda and cream of tartar. Those 2 elements working together where you get a double rise. So you have a rise when you mix in our wets, it's going to rise. But then on the back end, that's where the double rise comes in when we put it in the oven. Okay, so that's why you want to have just some baking powder, and you really don't need baking soda because you already got it in the baking powder. And we're going to put in 2 teaspoons of the baking powder. So 1, and at that one, 2. Good job. Okay. So now, speaking of ovens, while Jai is mixing that, you want to preheat your oven to about 350. If you got a powerful oven, you can bring down to 325. But about 350 is going to be safe. So I'm going to go ahead and turn our oven on and get that preheated. 350. Okay. So now, at this point, we are technically ready to bring everything together between the wet and the dry. But because I want to make sure everybody enjoys the taste and the flavor of the muffin, I'm going to put a little added sweetener in there. And so what I would recommend, if you're going to add in some of your own sugar, either go with some stevia or some coconut sugar, all right? Trying to avoid, definitely, like the plague, don't do the white sugar. And don't use the brown sugar, remember, because all brown sugar is just white sugar with molasses added to it. We recommend these sugars because they are very good. They're low on the glycemic index. In other words, when you eat it, they won't make your blood sugar spike as much. And also, they tend to be on the alkaline end as opposed to all sugar. All sugar across the board is on the acidic end. So that's why we're going to go with stevia. We're just going to use 1/4 a cup of the stevia. Okay? All righty. So now Gently bring that together because when you're mixing stevia, it's very light, very powdery. And you'll end up getting a face full of stevia if you get in there too strong. But you're doing a great job, John. Okay, so make sure you get all the way down the bottom and you're trying to move it up there to the top so everybody's all mixed. That's great, John. Good job. Now, while Jai has made all of our dry, here is our wet here in the blender. Now what we're going to do is we're going to prep our muffin tins. If you want to make it into a loaf, you do it for a loaf. If you want to put it in a cake pan, you put it in a cake pan. We're going to make muffins, so we're going to go ahead and prep. And this is going to make about a dozen. You know what a dozen is?
A lot.
Yes, a dozen is a lot, first grade, but a dozen is actually 12. Just another way of saying 12, right? And so we're going to make a lot of muffins. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to prepare our tray. This is a no-stick pan, but we're just going to hit it with a little bit of this cooking spray, coconut oil cooking spray. If you wanted to use the regular coconut oil and go ahead and massage the bottom of the pan, you can do that too, no problem, or olive oil too. But before we put them in the pan, let's get our moist in here, all right? So we're going to go ahead and we're going to pour the wet into our dry. Oh, I think I saw a big date just drop in there. You can add nuts, you can add raisins, you can add seeds, whatever else you'd like to add to your
Date right there.
yeah, I think we got a big one in there. That's okay. You can add whatever toppings you like. Let me just go ahead and get this started, and I'm gonna let you finish it. If you find that your batter is a little bit too dry, you don't want this to be like a pancake batter, but we don't want it to be cookies either. So this is kind of like, this is where we want this here. So I'm gonna let you finish it, John. Make sure we get everything in there. And when you're holding your whisk, maybe a little bit easier for you when you take your hand. There you go. And then hold it low. There you go. Now you're close to where you need the power. There you go.
Strong.
Yeah, be strong. Yeah. All right. So now she's whisking on slow-mo here. Can you speed it up? You do like the blender, machine blender. All right, she's done. She's tapped out. All right, so this is how we want it, John. You did good. You did really well. All right, so you see how it's sticking here to our whisk. Again, we're not looking for cake batter and we're not looking for pancakes, kind of right in the middle. And what I like to do when we're making muffins, can you grab me a spoon, please? We're going to take a spoon, and if you want to, no, a regular teaspoon or one of your tablespoons, that's perfect, just like that. And sometimes I'll even use the 1/4 cup, but we're going to do it with the spoon because I think that'll be easier for us to see. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to scoop out enough. How much is enough? This is a large tablespoon, right? So you want to scoop out about that much into your tins because you want to make sure you have enough for 12. Now I'm going to do this, Jael. I'm going to need your help on something else for me in the end. So just hang tight for me and I'm going to let you do one too. So now we're scooping this in. If you hit a date and you got one of those big dates in there, we'll let that be the blessing muffin. So whoever gets the big date, they're going to have a sweet day. But we're just putting these in our muffin tins. And now what Jael is going to do is, if you don't want your muffins to be, real jagged or pointy on the top, you can just gently go around. And what Jael is going to do is she's going to even things out. She's going to be like it says in Isaiah. He's going to turn every mountain into a valley and make the crooked places straight. So you're going to do that. You're going to take this spoon. Ooh, that one's going to have a date. That's going to be a sweet blessing. Okay. Now we've got our 12 because, it's funny. No matter how many times you bake, unless you've got like this super precise machine, I always want to make sure, am I having enough for 12? Have enough for 12? You got to have faith. All right. So now we've got all 12 in there. So now, Jai, there's two things you can do Where do I need some? Show me. Okay, let's put some in there. I'm gonna let you put this one. Now, you're gonna scoop it out and then gently, yeah, that one's a little low. So even us out here, right there. Boom, there you go, good job. Not all of it, because we can put that somewhere else. Put that one right here. Okay, it's okay if you get some. You spin a little bit on the pan, you just take your finger and just push it on into the cup. Make sure we get all that out. Nobody left behind. No batter left behind. Probably this one. Put half in this one, and then put half in that one. Okay, so now, there you go. Now scoop it out and you move the spoon. Good job. Now there's two ways you can go about this. If you want to even it out, you can take the top of your spoon and kind of mash them to make them even if you want them to look, uniform. Another trick that you can do too is you just take the pan. You do this, Jael. Take the pan. I want you to pick it up about this high, and I just want you to drop it back on the counter. So you're going to take the pan on both sides. You're going to pick it up and now drop it. And what that did is all the air bubbles, if there's any air bubbles inside of the batter, it just popped all those bubbles. So now you won't have any big air pockets in your pastry or in your muffin or in whatever it is that you're baking. So that's another trick that you can do too. Okay, so now our oven's about ready. We want to take these, you're going to put them in the oven for 20 to 25 minutes. It depends on your oven, but you want them to be brown, but obviously you don't want them to be burnt. Okay, brown on the bottom. You can probably get there in about 22 minutes. So 20 to 25 minutes, depending on your oven, no more than 25, and they will be good to go. So by God's grace, we're going to go ahead and put these in the oven, and maybe we'll be able to sample one at the end of our study today. Okay? Did you like that?
Yes.
I think they're going to taste good. You know why? Because you made them. So.